Hey guys, welcome back. It's Missy, and today we're gonna do a video on 3 covert ways the narcissist tricks you. Narcissism is a very tricky topic, especially because there's the textbook version of a narcissist, and oftentimes when we go on the internet, that's what we see, and people will go down the list and they'll try to relate it to their partner, and they can't necessarily, or their parent or their sibling or whatever, their boss, then they try to relate it to them, but they don't really fit in that textbook version because narcissism is on a scale, and narcissists use different manipulative tactics to control others and use others as supply. So that's why it's really important to be aware of some of these tricky tactics that is not talked about enough. But before we get into today's video, if you are new here, welcome. My name is Missy, I'm a life and relationship coach, and on this channel, we will get to the root of the issue and we learn how to heal and deal. So if that's your thing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love for you to be a part of the fam. And if you already are a subscriber, I really appreciate you so much. Also, if you are interested in any of my coaching services, you can go ahead and check the link down below. Let's get into today's video. So the first thing I want to talk about, which I've talked about before, but I didn't talk in depth, and that's selective empathy. So this is very big with covert narcissists, but when you look up narcissism, you see that narcissists have no empathy, and that's not necessarily true. You can have a narcissist in your life where you will see that they have a lot of empathy for animals or babies, or even situations that are outside of themselves that have nothing to do with them. They may show empathy when someone dies or when someone's going through a loss or breakup. You may see them have that empathy. So when you see that, you're like, oh, they must not be a narcissist, because one of the biggest signs is they have no empathy. Really what it is, it's a very selective empathy. So there's covert narcissists because it's on a scale, there's full-blown disorder, and then there's the people that are in between. The people that are in between, they can have selective empathy where they can see situations and they can empathize, but then when it comes to situations that involve themselves, they have a very hard time empathizing. So for instance, if you go to them and you are complaining about how they are treating you, they can't empathize because that's something that has to do with themselves. You are now involving them, and now their ego is coming up where they have to protect their image. They are incapable of taking accountability or looking at themselves. So that's why the empathy is completely cut off. Or sometimes in different situations, you may see them empathize with you, like if you go to them and you're complaining about a breakup, they may empathize, or they may make it about themselves and not really empathize about that situation. It really depends on the narcissist. So it's really, they care for certain situations and other situations they don't. And you see this and you'll get very confused, and then you will have hope of like, oh, maybe they are not really a narcissist, and so maybe they can change, or there's hope for a better future between us, or a better relationship. Maybe I can have my mom back, maybe she can be fixed, or maybe my partner will be different. Maybe because there's this glimmer of hope of empathy, maybe they can be who they show at those good moments. But no, it's selective empathy. It's something that if it's a situation that will affect them, they'll never empathize with you. Now, another way a narcissist may confuse you is that they are very aware and can point out other people's bad behaviors. So you may be able to have a conversation with them where they're like, oh yeah, that person needs to take accountability, or oh, it was wrong that that person yelled at that other person, and they may have some really valid things to say, and it seems like they really understand things. And so when you say this, they're like, oh, they do maybe have morals and understand what's right and wrong and understand bad behavior. Like, oh, they're able to point out that's manipulation, and so they understand, oh, manipulation is bad, or oh, they understand that that was mistreatment towards someone else. Oh, now maybe they'll know this is something that they can see themselves that they're not supposed to do that. But no, they have the knowledge. But the missing piece is the ability to self-reflect and see that they also do this behavior. They have this grandiose sense of self where they feel they're above others, and they can look down at others and see the wrongs of others, but they cannot see it within themselves, because that missing piece of being able to look at themselves and say, oh, okay, this is where I went wrong, this is the behavior that I'm doing wrong. No, they always see it as, you're doing it. you provoked it, you caused it. But it's so tricky and hard to see that, because you, as a healthy-minded person, you can put 2 and 2 together of like, okay, I see this is wrong. I can see in myself that I'm not supposed to do these things, so I'm gonna correct my behavior. And so then you'll expect that of them as well. But that's a wrong expectation, because they literally are incapable of doing that. You can expect that of someone who is more healthy-minded, but someone who has a mental disorder like them, they are incapable of doing it. And again, when you see that they understand what's right and wrong, you have hope for them of like, oh, maybe they can change, maybe it can get better. But no, there are therapists, doctors, nurses, tons of people that have so much information and knowledge on these things, but they're not people that change or can look at themselves. They just look down at others and point out other people's bad behaviors and have expectations of them to be better, but not for themselves. And then the last one is they will have like a normal switch, which this could technically be classified in love bombing. So the way that I see it as, there is extreme love bombing where you're the best person in the world and they love you so much and you're the greatest thing that ever happened to them, and they want to give you the world and all these things. There's the extreme love bombing, but then there's also just times when they seem really normal. Like you can joke with them and they'll laugh at it, or you can have a conversation with them and they won't be combative and argue with you or start attacking you. And you'll see this and you'll be like, oh, they can actually be normal. And when you have this moment of them being normal, you kind of forget that yesterday they were gaslighting you and we're just starting arguments all day over the stupidest things like, did you touch their stuff? So in these moments of them being normal, that hole that has been inside of you of when they've been mean to you or they've devalued you, it filled up a little bit. And you're like, oh, okay, there is hope for a better dynamic between the two of us. But it's technically another form of love bombing, because that's not the genuine them. The genuine them is when they are shaming you, when they're guilting you, when they are manipulating you, when they're using you as a tool. They're a shell of a person. They're a very shallow person. So you'll be confused about what's the real them, and then when they're kind of normal with you, you're like, okay, maybe this is who they can be or they're supposed to be. And so I just need to work a little harder. Maybe I need to do something to help them get there. What did I do on that day that they were normal that could help me get them there to being normal again? So you'll place on yourself to get them to be that normal when they're devaluing you, or when you're on that roller coaster with them, when you're at that extreme low. You crave for that high again, or you crave for them when you had those good moments with them, when they just seemed normal. Not only that, but this is very prevalent if you have other narcissists in your life and they're at that moment when they're being normal. When you see this other narcissistic behavior, you're like, oh, they're not like that, so they must not be on that same level of narcissism that those other people are, and there's hope for this person. Maybe there's not hope for those other narcissists, but there's hope for this narcissist. But really, no, it's just that they're having a good day, or they're in their love bombing part of the cycle of abuse. They're never really going to change. Everything with narcissists is extremely inconsistent. Same way with a child. Their emotions are very inconsistent. Their actions and their behaviors are very inconsistent. That's how narcissists are. They're very inconsistent. They can't be consistent. They don't have the ability to emotionally regulate. And they don't care to go and learn how to better themselves or emotionally regulate. They only solely will do things for themselves that will benefit them. So those are the 3 ways that it can be very tricky when you're dealing with covert narcissists, or a narcissist that manipulates in more covert ways. What you can do to protect yourself from this is when you see this, when they're being normal, when they're empathizing, when they're pointing out other people's bad behavior, you need to remember, oh, this is just another one of their masks. This does not mean that they can change in any sort of way. And that's what you always have to keep in mind. It's heartbreaking because we so badly, when we love someone that's narcissistic, or we have compassion or empathy for someone that's narcissistic, like a parent or a long-term partner, we so badly want them to change, and we can so easily get tricked by these things. But we have to remember, it's not real. It's all a delusion. It's the delusion that they create. So what do you guys think? Do you agree or disagree? Are there any other covert tricks that narcissists do? Leave it all in the comments below. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with someone that you think may need it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye, guys. I am being blessed with an abundance of love. That's the affirmation right now. That's the affirmation of the hour. Oh, hello, you came right on time. Are you here to bark or to scratch? You always come and do that when I'm doing videos. Are you hungry? You wanna munch really loudly on some food? Today, I did my hair like 90s style. Do we love or do we hate? Do a video on... No, I don't wanna do that either.